In the Gospel of Mark, Jesus' baptism revealed who he was. There was no glorious prelude speaking about his being in the beginning. There were no angels making announcements from the night sky, no visitors bearing gifts, making him known to the world from his infancy. Here, he is a grown man, suddenly revealed by a voice from heaven as God's beloved Son. The heavens were torn, and he was revealed, even if only to himself. When Jesus died on the cross, the curtain in the temple, the curtain that shrouded the holiest sanctuary from the outer chambers, was torn in two. The curtain had the image of the heavens, a cosmic panorama woven into it. As Jesus was torn and the life flowed out of him, it spilled out into the world, and he was revealed by a Roman soldier. Surely this was God's Son. Each revelation came through a tearing, a breach in the fabric of reality. We witnessed such a tearing on Wednesday as that violent mob attacked the Capitol and tore at the fabric of our identity as a stable democracy. Wednesday was a tearing of myth and illusion, mostly the myth of liberty and justice for all. Each time something tore in Jesus' story, revelation happened. So what was revealed on Wednesday? I remember watching the scenes of flag-waving, red hat-wearing visitors to Washington who had stormed and occupied the steps and hallways of the Capitol with apparent assurance that they could do this with impunity. And I turned and said to Peter, "This would be different if they were black." As we watched Wednesday unfold, and rioters smashed windows and desecrated the temple of democracy, it was immediately clear that they were being allowed license and privilege that would never have been given to a crowd of black or brown people. We have seen over and over again in the last year the well-armed detachments from a variety of law enforcement agencies whenever black citizens protested, the all too regular and unredressed profiling, assaulting, choking, shooting, and killing at the hands of people who somehow thought they deserved it. We have known this, but we haven't really wanted to see and to accept it. And suddenly, there it was for all to see. It is past time for us to acknowledge and come to terms with the concept that was enshrined in the founding of our nation, that somehow people who are white and of European descent have more value, are inherently superior to those who are not. Look at our history. Look at how we treated the original inhabitants of this continent. They were killed in genocidal numbers, chased from their homes, corralled on plots of land chosen for their worthlessness, and given no rights to govern themselves. Treaties with them were ignored whenever it suited someone in power. Then we carved white men's faces on their holiest of places. And to this day, some of the worst poverty in our nation is found in Navajo land, the Crow Reservation, and the reservations in the Dakotas. Their history is rarely told in a way that reflects the truth. But they know the sting and the stain of the white people's sin. Long before the last Indian was chased off desirable land, we were building an economy based on the labor of kidnapped, brutalized, and enslaved people. Their status as less than fully human was enshrined in our Constitution. A bloody war was fought for states' rights, when the only right that mattered was the right to own other people and benefit from their labor. And when they were finally set free, a century and a half of shameful efforts to deny their full and dignified humanity ensued. And let us not forget the racist rhetoric that approved of the caging of children and the tearing apart of families. Many of those children will never be reunited with their parents because no one bothered to keep records of who they were. They were brown children, and that was all. And their lasting trauma was of no account. Up until Wednesday, we were beginning to wake up to the reality that while we might not be white supremacists, we live in a nation predicated on the supremacy of white people. We were waking up slowly because it was so much easier to remain sleepy-eyed and occasionally concerned. On Wednesday, our sleep was torn asunder like the heavens, and the ugly truth was paraded as a Confederate flag in the Capitol Rotunda. All of the efforts to suppress votes and voter turnout in so many elections, and then pretend that the latest election was stolen because of all those black people who dared to exercise their right to vote, is nothing more than white supremacy on the run. Baptism revealed Jesus for who he was and is. In our baptism, we are to be revealed as followers of the one who preached love and peace and was willing to die for it. This moment, this national moment, has nothing to do with our particular religion, but it has everything to do with who we think we are, who we are willing to be, and who we follow. The fear of losing white supremacy has been deployed as a political strategy for way more than a century and a half. Its most recent iteration led to the storming of the Capitol, the death of 5 people, and the tearing of our illusions. I know that what I say here today, from this pulpit and on our little YouTube channel, won't make a tiddlywink's worth of difference in the larger national landscape. But I know that I am not the only voice from a pulpit this weekend imploring anyone who will hear that now is the time to open our eyes and truly repent of the sin of racism and the idea of the supremacy of one group of people over any other. May this moment of baptism in the opening days of 2021 tear us out of our sleepy acceptance of what has been and into our true identity as followers of the one of whom God is pleased. And make no mistake here, right after Jesus' baptism, he was driven out into the desert to do the hard work. That lies ahead of us. But I have great faith that with God's help, we will do it.